Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're essentially putting on our senior macro strategist hats to completely decode Oracle's true business model. A lot of people out there still describe Oracle as this legacy enterprise software company that's just desperately trying to catch up and become a cloud company. But fundamentally, that description is just analytically weak. It completely misses the economic reality of what this business actually does. We're going to look past the hype, ignore the standard tech talking points, and break Oracle down exactly the way a fundamental Wall Street analyst would. We're talking business logic, lock-in economics, and intrinsic value. So here's our roadmap for this explainer. We'll start with the legacy landlord illusion, then move into our three layers. Layer 1 is the installed base, Layer 2 is operational captivity, Layer 3 is cloud recapture, and finally, we'll wrap up with the replatforming risk. All right, let's start by absolutely shattering that myth that Oracle is just some melting ice cube of legacy software. Actually, scratch that. It's not just a myth, it's a massive misunderstanding. The absolute fastest intuition you can have about this company is this. Oracle is a mission-critical enterprise data landlord. See, they are actively trying to turn decades of database lock-in into recurring cloud revenue. If they were just a legacy vendor, we'd literally only be talking about harvesting old maintenance contracts while the business slowly fades away. But that's not what's happening here. Oracle controls one of the absolute tightest choke points in all of enterprise computing, the operational database layer that sits right behind business-critical workloads. And this really brings us to our core thesis. Oracle doesn't need customers to love it. It needs them to fear the disruption of leaving it. Seriously, the brand's emotional connection, it doesn't matter. What actually matters is that their database sits at the dead center of ERP systems, finance systems, telecom workloads, healthcare data, you name it. It is entirely entangled with years of accumulated SQL, super complex schema designs, and ingrained operational habits. The moat isn't that developers love them. The moat is that leaving them is, frankly, terrifying. So we can map this out into a three-layer stack. And this shows how Oracle's legacy software, their lock-in mechanics, and their modern cloud strategy are actually all just one unified, continuous story. It's almost like a giant puzzle. You really can't analyze their cloud growth without understanding the installed base. And you definitely can't understand the installed base without understanding the massive switching costs holding the whole shebang together. Okay, let's dive into Layer 1, the installed base. If we go all the way back to 1977, Oracle's big breakthrough was commercializing the relational database. And here's the thing. If you own the database layer, you sit at the absolute center of enterprise computing. Applications come and go, right? Infrastructure evolves. But the database? That becomes the one system that simply must not fail. In the 90s, they turned this into a massive license and support machine. Then, by 2008, with Exadata, they pushed this idea that Oracle runs best on hardware that Oracle actually controls. And today, they've paved these hybrid paths right to the cloud. They have spent literally decades controlling the exact part of the tech stack that is the absolute hardest to move. So just to quickly recap this first layer, we are looking at core enterprise workloads deeply integrated into finance and ERP systems. Between the deeply embedded architectures and decades, literally decades of accumulated SQL, this isn't just software anymore. It's really the central nervous system of a corporation. Moving right along to Layer 2, operational captivity. Now we have to talk about what we call hostage logic. Okay, to be clear, customers aren't literal hostages, obviously, but they are operationally captive. The economic reality here is that the database is entangled with absolutely everything in the business. The friction, the sheer pain of moving is astronomical. The crucial point here is that management will almost always conclude that paying Oracle's toll is vastly safer than ripping out the foundation of their business. Think about it. Leaving means rewriting mission-critical applications. You'd have to test years of obscure edge cases that nobody in the company even remembers how to code anymore. You've got to retrain your database administrators, risk failing compliance audits, and accept real, actual downtime. Who is going to sign their name to that kind of risk? Almost no one. So wrapping up Layer 2, Oracle's true operational moat is built on incredibly high switching costs, massive data gravity, and tightly coupled apps. At the end of the day, it's all about the completely unacceptable risk of taking the entire company offline. Which brings us perfectly to Layer 3, cloud recapture. When we look at their fiscal 2025 revenue breakdown, $44 billion sits in cloud services and license support, out of $57.4 billion in total revenue. To put that in perspective, that definitively proves Oracle is not just selling one-time on-premise licenses anymore. No way. They are a recurring revenue juggernaut. They're taking that sticky installed base we just talked about, maintaining that legacy support annuity, and very successfully converting it into infrastructure cloud spend. And the momentum here is just staggering. 531%. That's their reported explosion in multi-cloud database revenue growth. What this tells us is that their cloud acceleration isn't just coming from basic software as a service, it's being driven by heavy, mission-critical infrastructure and database workloads moving into entirely new deployment formats. And this is where their multi-cloud strategy comes in, which is, frankly, a piece of strategic brilliance. Oracle realized early on, hey, we don't need to win the entire cloud stack from Amazon or Microsoft. They don't need to be the coolest development platform out there. They just need to be the preferred database continuation path. So they go to a massive enterprise and say, look, keep your application tier in Azure or AWS. We don't mind, but keep the database layer close by on Oracle-controlled infrastructure. It's essentially a monetization bridge. It lets the customer check the "we move to the cloud" box while keeping their most critical data completely inside the Oracle economic perimeter. So, to put a bow on this recapture phase, products like OCI, Exadata Cloud at Customer, and multi-cloud connectivity, they act as bridges. They effectively trap enterprise data while seamlessly expanding Oracle's wallet share in the modern cloud era. All right, let's bring it all together: the economics and the risks. Of course, any serious macroeconomic analysis has to weigh the bull case against the bear case, right? The undeniable upside here, the bull case, is that Oracle successfully converts its massive, captive installed base into multi-cloud and OCI revenue without losing their historic pricing power. It's a gold mine. But the bear case is heavy. First, the sheer capital expenditure burden to build out all these data centers is absolutely enormous. It's a massive drag on cash flow compared to the old asset-light software days. Second, there's the ultimate long-term threat: replatforming risk. What happens if AWS, Google, or open-source alternatives make their migration tooling so incredibly good that enterprise customers finally bite the bullet, endure the pain, and rip Oracle out completely? Which leaves us with this lingering, incredibly provocative question for Wall Street. Oracle is essentially what you get when a database utility, a software toll booth, and a cloud migration bridge are all completely fused into one company. But as the tech landscape shifts faster than ever, will that massive installed base remain captive enough to keep paying the rent in the cloud era? Or will the pain of staying eventually outweigh the absolute terror of leaving? It's the multi-billion-dollar question that will define Oracle's next decade. Think about that, and we'll see you in the next explainer.